DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to eMerge Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We have a great show for you. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we want to thank you for all the likes, shares, and subscriptions on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Hey, it's Sunday Beyond the Game with one of our own legendary coaches in the Northeast Louisiana area. We're having the former and true epitome of a Delta Mustang. He's a graduate of the Mustangs of class of 83, where he came back to coach his alma mater, and he kept the Mustangs, y'all, in contention from 91 all the way to 2019 into Consolidation hit the Mustangs. He went on and became the Dean of Students in the junior high coach in 2019 at Bastrop High. He's a former standout at Mississippi Valley State, where he played in 1983 with the likes of Jerry Rice, James Haynes, and he graduated in 1988 with a BS in Health, Physical Recreation, and Band. It's none other than the pastor of Piney Grove Missionary Baptist Church in West Monroe, his legendary coach, Coach Lorenzo Price. How you doing today, Coach?
What about yourself? I'm listening to you. I had to wonder if all that was me.
Yes, sir. That's all you, Coach, and we're glad to have you on to share your story. You're one of the standouts in Morehouse Parish. Your accolades speak for themselves. People really don't know that Lorenzo Price stood on his own for more than 20 years, keeping the Mustangs in contention. Coach, kind of share with the people on the insides of Pastor Coach Lorenzo Price.
Well, good morning, Coach, and I want to say it's an honor that you would have us on the show, and I am grateful for the opportunity to share, and I hope that, I do okay here, so just go. Well, I'm a young man, little boy raised in the cotton fields of Bonita, Louisiana. I was raised there, attended school in Morehouse Parish. I started at Marouge Elementary, and even though I was born and raised right there by the overpass, the districting at that time, if I was on the other side of the overpass, I would have gone to Bonita. But being on the side that I was on, I had to attend school in Marouge. So I went to Marouge Elementary. And at that time, there was a Marouge Junior High campus. And, of course, from there going on to Delta. While being there, it was probably one of the more enjoyable times of life because Delta has always been, a great place. It was, the name speaks for itself. The Delta, where everybody from all around comes in that one place and joins together. And that's sort of always been the character of the school. It's a special place. And even though, again, people that are there, that were there were from the surrounding areas of Marouge, Bonita, Collingston, Oak Ridge, and at that time, some of them were from Bastrop. It's just always been a great place to go to school. I think we had the best teachers in this area. We can remember back to Miss Conway and Miss Vivian Smith, Miss Mary Faye Watkins, Miss Katie Watkins, Mr. Washington, Roosevelt Johnson, Leon Conway, and the list goes on and on. Early Hayes, Calvin Dismute was our head football coach at that time. And so attending high school there was a great honor, very prideful. If you talk to a Mustang even today, we're very prideful about our heritage because we understood and knew even while attending how great it was to be a Mustang.
Right.
And so I would, yeah, go ahead.
No, Coach, I was just saying, right. That's what we want to have you on. We had Coach Staxton, and he shared how it is to be a Mustang. That's what we want to know, Coach. How was that culture for you back then in the 80s coming up being a Mustang?
Absolutely. Again, I'll say it was a very prideful place, and the administration and the teachers, um, they cared about the students and realized that our economic situation was not the best culturally. It was not the best, and they understood that education was our way out, and they were masters at creating opportunities for us. They believed in us and really felt that we were the generation next, and they wanted us to do well, and they poured into us. And if I'm permitted to say this, they beat our behinds. That was permitted back in the day, and did what was necessary to make sure that we had opportunities for success. They prepared us for success. And I tell you what, I am so grateful for that.
Right, Coach. So some of the players that you played with, a lot of you guys during that time, and that's something else people don't know about the Delta Mustangs. You guys were getting scholarships right along with Barrowscap High down there. Kind of take us back to some of the coaches and players that leave an impression in your mind being a Mustang.
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned Coach Staxton. He'd been on. He was in the class before us. Of course, he went to Louisiana Tech. I was there in school. Some may remember Coach Albert Tippett. He and I played football together. He graduated and scholarship to Northwestern. David Colson. Those guys all went to Northwestern. Coach Correa Davis. He and I were teammates. Some of you may remember Warren C. He went to Louisiana Tech also. Through the course of that time, we had a lot of guys. Christopher Jackson, these guys scholarship over to Oklahoma Junior in Mississippi. James Dawson, Paul Logan. The list just goes on and on, man. And like I said, we were so grateful to have coaches and teachers that vested in us and wanted us to have that opportunity to go. And they did everything to get us there. So, there's a plethora of players that left Delta and went on, during the time I was in school that was there. You go, oh, God, wow, Errol Faxon was there. Names just popping up, Winfrey Sims, Marvin Sims, all these guys. Were there. Alex Payton, that was the group that was there before Coach Faxon. Those guys, went to various universities, Jimmy Downs and Manzi Reese. The list just goes on and on.
Right, Coach. And just looking back on it and how things are today, the time you played and the times now, what was the big difference with the caliber play and the attitude and approach towards the game with youth compared to your time today?
Oh, certainly. But there's a big difference in the play now. During that time, number one, you played because you looked up to your coaches, and they were almost, gods to you. And I don't want to step outside the bounds of, whatever, but you believed in your coaches, and you wanted to do everything you could to please your coaches. During that time, if your coach told you to run through that brick wall, you ran into that brick wall and bruised your head and may have gotten knocked out, but you jumped back up and said, Coach, I'll get it this time. Let me try again. That kind of that kind of idealism is kind of gone. Plus, during that time, it wasn't so much about you it was about the game. You love the game of football. Um, and it was about the game, and you played because you wanted to add to the game. It wasn't so much about you getting your hypes and you getting your props, and then the camaraderie of your teammates. That brotherhood. That sense of belonging. That you were developing relationships that you didn't know that were going to last for 30, 40, 50 years, and that was important to you. You didn't want to be the weakest link. You didn't want to let the team down because everybody was depending on everybody, and that's quite a bit different today.
Right, Coach, and that just shows the not only the differences in the culture and the times, but also the atmosphere and the creation of the game. The game has become a single fight thing where one player or two or three players are magnified when we know it takes a group. And this is something I wanted to ask you, Coach. Looking at the Delta culture, and you just named 5-6 guys that got D1 scholarships back during your time. I guess the state championships and things that happened in basketball, we lost focus that it was a Morehouse Parish thing. We just did a special on Mr. Lou Brock. Coach, do you feel like Delta was kind of washed out of the picture and you guys were never magnified to the tools you should have been?
I think that my answer to that is going to be biased, being that I'm a Mustang for life and I graduated from Delta and spent so much time there. It seemed as if it was always a fight, for recognition. Not to take anything away from Bastrop, but, of course we were, in their shadow. And of course that didn't bother us because we were prideful and we were going to shine independently. And I think, we did that. And, but it was always a fight. There was always, lurking in the shadows, the consolidation and the clothing. That was always lurking in the shadows, but somehow, until ultimately it happened, we survived, and we did well doing that.
Right, Coach. And like I said, Lou Brock, Union High School, Delta, Coach Thaxton, Coach Warren C., Miss Hazel Sellers did what she did, coaching you guys when you guys were younger in football. And like you say, the list goes on and on and on. And, Coach, that's why we invited you today, because we know we want to hear it from Coach Lorenzo Price, the man who was at the range when guys like the Josh Downs and the Dietrich and D.D. Joneses and the various players you had that consolidation hit and kind of took that away from the Mustang era. We're going to take an intermission, Coach, and when we come back, we're going to come back home when you finally got that deed to coach your alma mater, the Mighty Mustangs, and the prominence that you had. When we come back after this intermission, we're still with Pastor Coach Lorenzo Price when we return. DJ Dewey Rock on the track. DJ Dewey Rock on the track. Welcome back to Emerge Podcast 360. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Involve Social and Civic Club, where we understand the social and civic need. We're still here with legendary Delta High School football coach and standout Mississippi Valley State Coach Lorenzo Price. Coach, before we left for intermission, we were talking about the legacy and the era you had built with the Mustangs for almost 20 years, and consolidation kind of came and took that away from you. Coach, share with us about your times at the reins of the mighty Mustangs.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I am grateful that principal at that time, Mr. Tom Thor, saw something in me that after 3 years as an assistant coach, he felt that I was able to take over the reins, and that was a great, great responsibility. Of course, I followed Coach Kevin Dismuke, who had done a marvelous job, and we had come off of a pretty good season. And he was, promoted to principal, and I took over as athletic director and football coach. Wow, what a trying time. I was 24 years old. This young guy, and this is not a racial statement, this is a true statement, this young black guy in a white man's world. And I found that out in a very, very real way. But by the grace of God, some kind of way, we made it. And so, the first few years, it was, we never at Delta had, just a great number of football players. It was always around that, 25, 35 guys. We had 35 guys. That was a great number. But usually, we were somewhere around 27 to 30 guys. And that's a feat when you're competing against the likes of Oak Grove and OCS and, Cedar Creek and Ravels and Winsboroughs. We were district with all those guys and the McCalls. And, you got 26, 27 guys, 30 guys that you're dressing out, and Oak Grove comes out dressing 65 or 70. And you prepare the guys for what we call Iron Man football, where they played offense, defense, every special team, and water boy, everything never left the field. And we were competitive with most teams that we played until maybe, third quarter. And out of that 27 guys, man, you had about 15 of them that were actually playing. And they just burned out going, both ways, never getting off the field. And you have all the compassion for the guys. You're trying to get it out of them, but they just have nothing left. You look back, there's a guy standing behind you about 4'9", weighing at 125 pounds, soaking wet, looking at you saying, "Coach, I know you're not going to put me in the game." Right, so we went through that. Yeah, we went through that for several years, but the guys believed and they continued to fight, and that's how we would stay in contention. And whatever, we just made the guys believe, and they believed in themselves and, their potential, and they just wouldn't stop trying. And that's the thing that kept us, and we went through that for several years until finally, the time came. I think every program has a season, unless you're just one of those power schools that rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. Your kids go in cycles, and it was finally our time. After about, 16 years of, going through that, it was finally our time. We had about 45 guys out, and they were football minded, because another thing we contended with was Delta is a great basketball school. So, hey, guy, in October, man, those guys are hearing that ball bounce. They're not trying to go deep in the playoffs and play football until December. They don't have 15 games on their mind. So, especially your skill guys, they're ready to get in that gym for that basketball jamboree against the Astros. So we contended against that for several years. But the time had finally come. It was our time. We had a great group of players. I was able to get some great-minded coaches. Coach Saxton came back to help us with the defense. We had Sonny Nation. Some of you may remember him. He's at Franklin, now Sonny Nation. how he was doing our offense, and we had a great group of kids. I think you called their name. Uh, um, um, oh my God. Uh, oh God.
Co-
Those guys.
Coach Thompson.
Yeah, Coach Thompson was there. But I'm trying to think of the players. I'm trying to think of their name. I don't want to call them Dick.
What year you at, Coach? I'm with you. What year you talking about?
We're 216 during the consolidation.
Uh,
Those
okay.
Yeah, Josh Downs
Downs,
and Didi, and we
Dietrich.
had all those guys. Yeah, and I think it was their coming into their junior year, and we had spent a couple of years getting them ready. We had taken our lumps, and finally it was our time. And all of a sudden, the consolidation happened, and that was very traumatic. But um, it was a devastating time in the Mustang community because everybody was excited about the year that was to come. We had all these returning starters, and they were going to be a year stronger, a year more mature. And of course, we had a great, spring, and all of a sudden, it was taken away. So it was a devastating time, for those of us who were Mustangs.
Right, Coach, and that's what we're here today to share and shed some light on your legacy. I know for a fact I graduated in 1995. My little brother was your quarterback during that time period from 90, 94, 95 to 97. And I remember,
great, infamous Henry Odom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My baby, my proud Mustang to his heart. Y'all took a good one away from us, Coach, and that kind of disturbed. And we're gonna speak on it. And that kind of disturbed Bastrop High with Adrian Burnett and them noting disrespect to Josh Morrison. But Henry was the guy, and y'all got a gift over there with those Mustangs. And Coach, that's what we want to know. I know for a fact in '95. I was coming to watch my baby brother quarterback in Mustang land when the grass turned brown, the playoffs, with my Letterman jacket on. We out of it. 5A school watching you guys, y'all running through Sterling, all these powerhouses that are still schools. Dale High has Dale High chartered, and they're still thriving together. Coach, how do you feel? What would have happened with the legacy you're building if consolidation had just left Lorenzo Price alone in the late 2000s?
Oh, certainly. I think, again, I'll say, our season had come. We had guys who were football minded, and, we were ready, I think, after the number of years to take our turn to play under the dome on the carpet. That's what I call it, the Superdome in the state championship. And I think it would only gotten better from there. The years upcoming looked great. We had a good group of guys, that had bought into the program, that saw the vision that we were trying to do. And consolidation, like I said, was devastating. And the reality of it, as far as sports were concerned, most of the kids that went to Bastrop High School did not play football. Only a few of them. Out of that 40-something kids, we may have had 10, 15 kids that actually played. So that was a great loss of an opportunity for some kids. And that was the beauty of having the two schools in the parish. Whereas a kid, as you stated, might not have been able to play on a 5A level, on a 2A level. He had a great opportunity. And, we kind of bounced during that time from single A to double A. And, they had great opportunities there. And that was a great devastating factor to take place. Not only that, you decreased the amount of scholarships when you took the school, whereas, these kids didn't have an opportunity to get out and shine and play. And that's not to take anything away from the kids at Bastrop and what they were doing at Bastrop, but it just sort of robbed, those kids down there of opportunities, not only in athletics, but certainly in academics also. where the kids were excelling in academics and then even other extracurricular activities. By joining up the schools, that decreased the opportunities. So that was the devastation of it.
And Coach, it's a hard thing because I look now. Mustangs fans have a legitimate gripe, just like we talked with Coach Thaxton about that consolidation. For whatever reason, I really, me personally, I don't want to hear about the money and the riffing. It's not what you have; it's what we do with it. And Coach, you kind of got a bad hand dealt to you, knowing that for sure. Looking at the region back then, it was Delta's turn to be state champions because you kept people, Mustang fans and Ram fans, listen to this. Coach Price, before basketball state championships, kept the Mustangs quarterfinals. I remember my baby brother's senior year, 4th and half a yard, we headed to the dome. It just didn't happen. But we knew the day was coming that those Mustangs was going to make it to that dome. And I don't know what happened when I left to go off to college. Coach, what guys left impression in your mind before we take another intermission during your 20-year reign headed to the dome that you can just know off top of the head that you'll ever remember?
Oh, wow, man. I think the list is so long. I don't know how much time we have left, but I can just, keep going. Of course, the class, when your brother was there was a great class, but the thing about it was you just didn't have enough, and that was the thing. Some of you may remember great Josiah Lee. Man, this kid was probably one of the best backs I have ever coached. If not the best. And there was a kid there by the name of Marvin Dowles. And that was a year that we very probable would have won the state title because I think we lost out in the quarterfinals to Port Suffolk. That was before the hurricane hit. And we played them at home. We had Port Suffolk. And I'll never forget this. This is the thing that really hurt us. Marvin pulled a hamstring. He had a slight pull, which had him at a performance rate of about 70%. And he was a great quarterback, great rollout quarterback, and could throw the ball very accurately and down the field. And if the option of pass was not there, he was a great runner. I mean, you were not going to catch him if he broke free. And here's the other side of the coin. Remember, our guys are playing Ironman football. He also dubbed as our free safety. Nothing's going to be caught. Throw long. He's a big kid. He could come downhill and make a tackle. I mean, he would just literally punish, receivers. And by him being so limited and Port Suffolk being a high-octane pass team, we just couldn't keep up offensively. And, of course, he's not there to make up on defense to shut the passes down. Now, here's the thing. Port Suffolk went on to win the state title. I think, if we could have gotten him, that would have been a year also, and that had to be around, somewhere around 2003, somewhere like that. And, it kind of grows together. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but that class. Kids like Robert Lewis, Tony King, the list goes on, man. Dion Moore and Maurice Robinson and Bell Robinson. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Man, I could hear name guys all day long that were super athletes. And I think that was the attraction, if there is such a thing, that the consolidation happened to get the athletes. And I'm not saying that. Of course, that's the rhetoric. That's what's being said. If we had great athletes, we just didn't have a lot of them. And those, we were able that those guys that could play well, they play well, and we had a lot of role players that tried hard. And that was key to our success.
Right, Coach. And I feel the pain every time the debate comes up on Facebook. They blame this, they blame that, and the Mustangs, just continue to fight as if though the high school is still there. And I seen the camaraderie and the spirit awaken with basketball going on the construction for a new turf field. You had to play a couple games and have another one at Delta, and I see that the community took advantage of that and relived a few moments. But, Coach, what people don't know about you, you was a standout athlete at Mississippi Valley State. And for when we come back, take us back in time with playing with the likes of Jerry Rice and Mr. Haynes, guys that went on to be Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers in the NFL. When we come back, we're going to take back in time with Coach Lorenzo Price at the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils when we return. Welcome back to Immerse 360. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Stepping Stones LLC of Jonesboro, Louisiana. We're still here with legendary Delta Mustang coach Pastor Lorenzo Price. Coach, take us back in time. People didn't know that you was a tough tight end with Shannon Sharp type skills, and you played at Mississippi Valley State with one of the best, Jerry Rice. Take us back, Coach.
Oh my God. That's so many years back. Yeah, I attended the great Mississippi Valley State University. Went over there in 1988, and the Lord showed favor on me because that was a great season in the life of football at Mississippi Valley State University. Jerry Rice was there, and great quarterback Willie Satellite Cotton. All these guys, went pro and what have you, but it was a great time. The university was established in 1950, and the athletic program as far as football, we struggled, hadn't really had any glory, but during the time that we were there, it was a heyday. It was a heightened time. And, man, I went in our scholarship as a tight end. But when I got there, Archie Cooley was there, Gunslinger Cooley, and he comes with this, oh my God, system of offense that he has no tight ends, that he has 4, sometimes 5 receivers in the game. And I went over there playing tight end. I was sure-handed. I could catch, but I didn't have any blazing speed. And, man, 4.2s was the norm. A 4.2 40 was the norm at that time. And we had 15, 20 receivers. And my first year being there, I played very little. I think I may have dressed, oh my God, maybe 2 games I may have dressed. And other than that, I just couldn't run with those guys. So my next year, I talked to the coach and said, well, I played linebacker in high school also. I can't run with them, but I sure can hit them. And I asked to be transferred to defense. And the rest is history. I wound up playing linebacker and did exceptionally well. They are probably the highlight, one of the highlights of being at Mississippi Valley was I got an opportunity to meet the great Eddie Robinson. And our coach, Archie Cooley, man, he idolized Eddie Robinson, and he talked with us as a team about things that he talked with Eddie Robinson about and things that he learned from him. But I remember we played Grambling in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the first Circle City Classic in the Hoosier Dome. And, of course, we won the game. And I remember walking across the field for the first time to meet Eddie Robinson and to shake his hand. Not meet him, of course, after the game, shook hands. And wow, that was a great moment, and certainly he was a guy that I've idolized, as a player, as a coach, and tried to pattern after some of the things that he did. And of course, got all that at Mississippi Valley State University. One of the downfalls, I got hurt a lot. Even my senior year, I wound up going back to tight end because we had a coaching change, and the guy looked at my information and saw why I had played tight end, and he had a tight end system. So my senior year, I really kind of got kind of thrown off a little bit, transferring back to tight end. I'd gone from knocking folks out to now I'm getting knocked out. So that was kind of rough. But man, what a great experience at Mississippi Valley.
Right, it has a rich culture here in Morehouse Parish. You, Dunn, Doty, several Mississippi Valley State alumnus here. Coach, how was it being on the field with Jerry Rice and Mr. James Haynes, man?
I'll tell you what, this is a memorable experience. And my freshman year, I was actually Jerry Rice's roommate. And, man, there were so many athletes that were coming to the Valley because of the success that we were having in that school. And, man, we were like 3-4 deep to a room. And I think I actually have a picture when Jerry Rice was on the cover of Time magazine, not Sports Illustrated. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And in the article, I think I have a picture of us in the room doing whatever. And I think I have that. And the most memorable moment, I think we were playing Kentucky State. I think it was. And Jerry caught 24 passes in one game.
Man.
And that Monday, I mean, that was the norm. We watched this guy do amazing things. And of course, all the receivers there, like I said, this was spread offense. They were scoring 60 points a game. And of course, offense, sells tickets, but defense win championships. We were, shutting people down. They weren't scoring, but of course, the highlight was we were beating folks by 60 points. But at any rate, he caught 24. I think it was Kentucky State we were playing, and he caught 24 passes in one game. That Monday, the Dallas Cowboys sent him a telegram at that time and said, 24 passes in one game. Wow, we have got to have you. That came directly from the Dallas Cowboys. So, that's what it's like. And then we had, like I said, so many talented guys in the SWAC. You're playing in the SWAC. The competition is very, very stiff, but we had a number of talented guys. I tell people all the time, probably, Jerry was really not the best receiver that we had there, and nobody would believe that. When you're playing linebacker and you're in this offense, and you have these guys coming out, you pray you're in a zone coverage the way you don't have to cover these guys man to man because they were so fast. And the offense was so high-tech, so you just wanted to sit back and kind of let guys run into your zone and possibly get an interception. If not, you could knock them out. But, there were several guys there, man. A guy from Birmingham, Alabama, named Curtis DeBar-Laban, we called him Bot. Man, the bot came out on your side. You were praying it wasn't man coverage because this guy ran the best route. And, of course, that was the onset where they introduced the 2-cut and the 3-cut route that these guys would almost make you break your ankles. Willie Ware, Joe Thomas, a guy from St. Francisville, Louisiana, Mo Wade, man, these guys, Tony Baker, and the names just goes on and on. All these guys played pro ball and went on. So it was great, man. It was really great.
Right, Coach, and your legacy is proven. You did something that a lot of coaches and former players dream of doing, coming back after having a successful collegiate career and coach their alma mater. And not only did you do that, Coach, but you kept the Mustangs, like we mentioned before, in prominence. But you went on and you became administrator, and you did several things, and you went on to retire. Because before we let you go, we always ask our guests, especially administrators and people in the community that are still here, looking through a glass, looking over your career, what do you think is going to take to get Morehouse Parish school system back to the pinnacle that we once were?
That's easy. That's simple. You got to focus back on the kids. And you made mention of this when the rhetoric was to with the consolidation. We were doing it in an economic sense and whatever. I think we have to get back to the point to where kids and their future are much more important than dollars and cents and what the numbers say on the paper. And I think that's a key in the success of anything is the people that make it work. And in education, period, we've got to get back to focusing on the children rather than all of the other political stuff and all the numbers and the dollars and the cents. And that was key to me as a coach. And I'll say, my first few years, I did a lot of wild things. I was young, and then I had to remember that I became a coach because of my junior high coach. He was so impactful in my life, and I wanted to be what he was. And I think all educators have to remember that you're the most impactful person in a child's life. They watch you and they glean from you, and you make such an impression on them that it's going to be a determining factor in their success. And so over the course of the years, I think, not that I think I know that it was more important to me to build young men rather than football players, to build the total child. That education is a total lifelong experience. Athletics can be a total lifelong experience. So in order for us to get back great, we have to focus on the kids and, start investing in them regardless of the cost and being attentive to their needs. And that's going to make the difference because education is for the kids, not for the administration, not for the teachers. We are there for them. And so until we get back to that, that's what's most necessary for them to have opportunities for success. That's going to be, that'll get us there. That'll be the key.
Coach, being a minister, being a pastor, words of expression for 2 or 3 minutes. What do you want to share with your parish, Morehouse Parish? What do you want to share with the people? Give us a word expression.
Well, I think, as in all things, I'm biased to the point. I know we live in the United States of America where we have freedom of religion, but I choose to believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and serve our God through him. And I believe that that's very important as far as your life is concerned on how you live, how you treat people, how you interact with others, and then determining, an eternity for you. And, I preach this every Sunday and I try to live this every day. And so we've got to get Christ in our life. I think that's key in us getting back to where we need to be. And I won't even say getting back, but getting greater and better than where we were. Because, God is everything. And so no matter where we go, he can meet us there as long as we do it his way.
Right, Coach. We love you, Coach. And, I understand your legacy because, my little brother left and that hindered not only my chances as a wide receiver having a backyard camaraderie with a quarterback. It destroyed his class as well. But at the end of the day, Coach, we all know you got the bad end of this stick, and it tears me down every time I think about it. He and Coach Bradshaw, that wasn't something that he intended, but like he said, he had been a fool not to take what you had built and add to what he was trying to build, and it worked out for all of you guys at the end of the day. Because your babies went on and got scholarships, and they always give you credit because I read the blogs. They say they proud Mustangs, Coach. So don't think you got 3 rings too. I'm gonna put it to you like that. you got 3 too, Coach. Before we go, Coach, you know what you're known for. Everybody love you as a minister, and you know you can preach. But I've been listening to you sing with your mom and your sisters since I was a baby.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah. It's Sunday, Coach. It's beyond the game. It's what it's all about. We go beyond the game. Coach, give us something, a hymn, a verse. Give us a song before we let you go, Coach.
Coach, you would do that to me. I'll tell you what. But before I go, I just want to take a shout out to all the former Mustangs. You know, these guys know I love them. Kids like Maurice Locke, Marquise Locke, rather, Cordell Haynes, Steele Stone. I mean, the list just continues to go on, man. And I could sit here and call names all day, but just want to give much love to those guys and proud of them because they've grown up in various capacities of life, and that was the key, you know, to get them to be able to be successful Americans and contribute to society and raise their families and do all this. And so that's been a great thing. And so just want to kick a shout out to those guys and say keep on keeping on, man. And I appreciate it because they give back, man. I mean, I got guys that give me tickets to the Saints games, and I'm forever seeing them in every capacity of life. So I just appreciate those. Oh my God! Now for a song, Coach, you will do this to me. Let me see. If anyone should ever ask my life story for whatever reason there might be, this is what I tell them. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me. All right, Coach.
Hey, I'm your host, Maserati. Shout out to Burchell Insurance Agency, and this is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, where we understand the social and civic need of love, learn, live, and laugh. Shout out to those Delta Mustangs and the legacy of Lorenzo Price. Hey, y'all be involved, get encouraged, and most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
Come on and keep it real with me, y'all. I know the streets, yeah, they still call, but we're trying to fall into it fall. See you through the struggle, they're trying to kill us all. Come on and keep it real with me, y'all. I know the streets, yeah, they still call, but we're trying to fall into it fall. See you through the struggle, they're trying to kill us all.
Can you remember being little kids? Running the streets from block to block, having fun as youngsters that soon stop in flooded rocks. So the streets got took by killers and crooks that look like they was the king of many men, but left the weak mighty shook. I'm tripping off some things that might take.
Hello, Coach.